Hi again. Here we are once more with Floppy for another update. Moving into a home brings a lot of changes for any greyhound, and they suddenly have access to a whole load of new stuff that just did not exist in kennels. Now, some greyhounds, like my Jim, are naturally very polite and they just wait to be invited to do something or to touch something. Others, like Floppy here, might not look like it right now, but he will just leap in and help himself. So in this video, we're going to take a look at setting out some ground rules for polite manners. So what is it that this guy does that might not be considered acceptable? Firstly, he's exuberant, he's confident, he's the sort of guy who sees something he wants and just gets it for himself. He is more than happy to jump up at people to say hello. He'll put his feet on the worktop if he wants to get something interesting. He'll clamber up on the furniture. As you can see, he's the only one of my dogs that's even thought about sitting on this bench with me, and he pees everywhere. He also doesn't really understand certain distinctions that his adoptive family might like him to make. So in the kennel, there's not really stuff that you can't have. And in a house, he doesn't really understand that there are things I would prefer him not to play with or things I would prefer him not to chew. He treats any fluffy bedding like it's a toy. He flings it around, he digs it, he shakes it. He generally has a lot of fun. He does it with things on the washing line. He does it with washing that you're carrying in. He likes to test anything accessible with his teeth, and this is a perfectly normal thing for dogs to do. They test things out with their mouth in just the same way that babies tend to do at a certain phase. And this might be bedding, it might be towels, it might be a muzzle or a lead or a coat or the cable for your computer or a lamp. So you have to be on the guard for anything that he might have that he shouldn't have. And if he considers something to be high value, he is not keen to give it back. Now, most of the time that's not a problem because we don't have things that he can steal, but there are times when that could be a big issue, so that is something we need to address. So what are we going to do about it? It can get very frustrating when the dog keeps stealing things or eating things that they shouldn't have. But he doesn't know any better, and if I become frustrated with him, that isn't going to help. I'm trying to gently redirect him onto something more appropriate to have fun with. So I might go and waggle a toy or squeak a ball at him to get him to come and have that instead of the thing that he's got. I keep plenty of toys available, so he has lots of choice. There isn't a sense of this one's mine, it's the only one, and I can't give it up because there's nothing else. And it means there's always something to offer him. He does enjoy playing with plushy toys, and he's really quite gentle with them considering how much he enjoys it. So we're practicing swapping toys out from time to time, inviting him to play with a more exciting one, for him to get the general idea of trading things before we have to do it with something higher value. Another area that needs a lot of work with this chap is toilet training. Essentially, we need him to learn that the house is his space and that he chooses to keep it clean, which is not easy. Some greyhounds do their best to not mess in their kennel and will be house trained from day one in a home, whereas others don't make that distinction, and unfortunately Floppy is one of those. He is more or less clean in his crate, but outside of it anywhere is fair game, and he'll pee in places he's happy to lay in as well as those where he doesn't, so it isn't about keeping his bed space clean. I think initially it was a mixture of excitement and anxiety and the smell of the other dogs trying to leave his mark on the place and make himself feel more at home. And over the first few weeks the number of accidents has gradually reduced, and it's now limited to a couple of certain places in the house, and I have to protect those areas and check regularly to make sure there haven't been any accidents there. For now, we're making sure he's ushered outside whenever he might even be thinking about peeing, so I have to be a bit of a mind reader. and I'm watching him whenever he's not lying down. Excuse Jimmy. We're limiting access to parts of the house that are harder to clean or he's more likely to get excited in, and that means he's in the back of the house where there are hard floors rather than carpet. So the other area with this dog is his manners around food. He's very happy to counter surf if something takes his fancy, but interestingly he's fine around the other dogs and also around people at meal times. He doesn't steal from another dog's bowl, he sticks to his own, and he's learning to wait for his and not try to dive into the first bowl that I put down. He also takes treats very politely when they're all having a little snack. But we're working on his manners around human food and human meal time, so he's always under supervision. Food is never left unattended and never near the front of the counter, because I have caught him licking the front edge of the counter, so we don't want him to lick something he shouldn't get, whether that's food or some utensils. And I'm eating a lot of my meals at the breakfast bar with him having a cuddle under one arm while I eat with the fork in my opposite hand. And after a while he takes himself off to bed, which is perfect because he's coming to check it out, he's learning he's not getting anything, and then he is taking himself away. He is making a choice to be somewhere else, which is what I would rather do rather than have to tell him. He is learning some basic words or cues, however, and we're working on those as we go. I'm aiming to be as consistent as possible because we might know that this one word can mean a variety of things, but dogs don't really get that, and we have to try and make it consistent. So we use wait, and this can be used in a variety of contexts because it basically means stop here, pause, don't go any further. So we might use this crossing the road, we might use this with going through doorways, we might use it putting a meal down, as in don't do anything else until I say you can. We're using off when I want him to get his feet off the furniture and put them back down on the floor, or off the worktop and put them back down on the floor. And we're trying this way for when I want him to follow me in a different direction on a walk. So what I would do at this point would be, he has a loose lead unless there's a problem, and I would just give him the cue, and then hopefully he looks at me and he comes in my direction, and that is helping to build a connection with him, which we will talk more about in another video. And of course we are working with his name. He does respond to it if I call him in the garden, but I would like him to build more of a connection with his name because that is really useful in a lot of situations to get his attention. So that is all for today. We'll be back again with our next instalment before too long. Bye for now. Look out for new videos every Monday, and why not subscribe so you don't miss out?